Well, I love me a good goal. I love making goals, I love achieving goals, and I love daydreaming about the next goal. But one thing I have stopped doing is setting goals around the new year, and we're going to get into why. First off, like and subscribe to this channel. And secondly, I'm Kate, and thank you for tuning in. If you are needing a cheerleader in your corner, you are in the right place. Back to goals. I love them. I love goals. I love the energy and the sense of accomplishment I feel when I achieve a goal. It gives me like a renewed sense of excitement each and every day when I've got a good goal that I'm tracking and trying to work towards. And I am not the only one. A study conducted in 1983 found a relationship between goal setting and motivation. And researchers found that individuals who set goals combined with feedback about their performance showed significantly higher levels of motivation compared to those that didn't set a specific goal. So setting goals further helps motivate you. It has nothing to do with whether you accomplish the goal or not, but setting it, that act of setting it, is what helps continue to kick in that motivation. A University of Texas study on goal setting, on how goal setting impacts patients with MS, further proved this correlation. MS is a rare and potentially disabling disease that disrupts communication between the brain and the body. And it leads to symptoms like speech difficulties, loss of sensation, muscle weakness, and so much more. But this study found out that they used goal setting as an intervention for MS patients. They found out that the patients who had more ambitious wellness goals reported less severe symptoms than the patients who did not. Goal setting had restructured their brains, changing their behaviors to stay more focused on goals. In turn, patients reached their wellness goals more easily, and that improved their health. There are overall benefits to goal setting as well. It improves our performance, improved focus and persistence, a more intrinsic motivation, so a motivation that is like deep within you, and increased autonomy and self-determination. The list goes on and on. But one thing I realized over the years was that I continued to train wreck myself each and every year when I set off to achieve these like awesome goals in January. Setting goals in January is such a culturally common thing for us, and it makes sense. It's the new year, new me. We're starting off on the right foot and we're going to achieve these goals. But one thing that I learned about myself in these 38 years of living is that my body really could hibernate all winter long. I totally understand why animals do it, and it's really appealing to me. My body on a molecular level just wants to sleep through winter. I desperately need the sun for energy. I mean, all of us do. But I notice such a difference when I don't have the sunlight sustaining me like I would in the summer, in spring, summer, fall. So every year when I set out to achieve a goal, I would usually lose steam a few weeks into it. Not because I didn't want to achieve this goal, but simply because I was so tired. And I realized that if I'm wanting to achieve these goals, I need to partner with my body and what she's telling me to do and get these done. When I started researching this more, I further realized that for centuries, the New Year wasn't even celebrated in January. The New Year, historically, over the course of humanity, was celebrated in March or spring, over the spring equinox. March 25th, to be exact, which just so happens to be my birthday. I think it's a great day. But that is typically the time that people used to celebrate, a new season, a rebirth, like new growth. And it makes sense. When we look around us and the world in springtime, at least here in Wisconsin, we can see all the things that are coming back to life again and the new growth that is happening. And historically, humanity was celebrating, the end of making it through winter and the beginning of spring and planting and getting ready for a new harvest that were to come, and celebrating the fact that they made it through winter, because that was never a guarantee for a lot of centuries of humanity, unless you had enough provisions that you had stored up throughout the year for yourself. The calendar was changed by Julius Caesar around 45 BC to honor the god Janus. That's where we get the word January from. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Janus, whatever. But he's a god of new beginnings and transitions, and that's why it was switched to January. And slowly more and more cultures got on board with it and started doing that same thing, until it was commonplace for the new year to be celebrated in January. But Again, on a molecular level, my body could sleep right through it and wants to. It's not until springtime that I start to wake up again and I start to see the sun and I start to get alive and get excited for all these new things that's coming. When I found out the origins of the new year, and then it originally started in March, it was like a light bulb went off in my head, and I realized that I have been doing this all wrong. And so I'm sharing this with you in hopes that if you're feeling discouraged with your goals that you started in January, don't be. You were in the right boat and you were okay and you're on the right channel. And I'm going to encourage you of what we can do in these quiet winter months so that we're ready when March hits. What I've been doing, and take it or trash it, is I've been prioritizing rest and sleeping. I'm a napper. I love naps. If my body needs to nap 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, we're going to do it. And so we're going to prioritize sleep and we're going to prioritize resting well because we know our bodies need it. The second thing that we're going to do is we're going to observe the tensions in our lives and kind of look around us and take a little bit of a stock of what we're looking at. That doesn't mean that you have to take any action towards anything, but if you're looking at your life and you're saying, man, I would love to get in a good workout routine, or I do need to stop the snacking, I'd like to read more books, or I want to start this project soon. I'm not telling you to do that right now, but just become aware of what you are seeing and what you're doing. Take a life inventory, and we can get into that further in a different episode. But see where you're at and make some notes or journal through that, and keep that handy for when it's going to be time to set our goals. And number 3, what I'm going to have us do is we're going to prioritize research and learning, not acting on anything. But again, in that same line of kind of taking an inventory, read the books that you want to read. Spend time doing a little bit of research. You don't have to take action on anything, but researching and learning is such a great way to establish where you're currently at and maybe where you would like to go. And so those are the 3 things that we need to prioritize in this season without setting our goals and without taking those intense actions, but still accomplishing some things in this quiet winter season. I'm reminded of my peony plants that I have right outside my front door. I've got 6 bushes right under my windows, and they're absolutely beautiful. But the first year I set out to plant peonies, I grabbed bulbs from Walmart in the spring. And Walmart is never the great place for bulbs or gardening supplies. Go to a seed store or a seed catalog. And I threw them in the ground and waited and waited and waited, and they did not do a darn thing. Well, if you have a little bit more garden knowledge than I have or had at the moment, peonies want to be planted in the fall. There's a lot that their little bulbs need to do in the fall months to get them through winter so that come spring, they can shoot up right up through the ground. But I didn't know that. And so I grabbed them. When I grabbed them, threw them in the ground, and again, I got nothing. That next year I ordered bulbs from a seed catalog and planted them in the fall. And then the next spring, I had these beautiful peony plants that were popping up, and they've come every year. And they're super strong, they're super hardy, and I'm able to propagate them and plant them other places in the yard because I love them. But what that stood out to me and what that taught me was that the right thing at the wrong time is not going to give you the results that you want. I wanted peony plants. It was the completely wrong time for those things to be planted in the ground when it was spring. They needed to be planted in the fall. And so similar to you and similar to me and similar to us, the goals that we have might be the exact right goal that we need. But if we're trying to implement them in a time in our life when it's not for goal setting, which for me would be winter, it's not going to happen and it's going to be the wrong thing. So if you are like me and you know that you have all these goals in mind that you would love to accomplish, but you also simultaneously know that now is not the time, do not fret and don't shame yourself for that. We're going to sit tight on our goals and we're going to help implement some healthy behind the scenes practices similar to when you've got a bulb in that ground. That bulb is still doing stuff underground. We just don't see it yet. And so we can sit tight and rest and sleep and make sure that we're feeding our body nutritious food and that we're taking the time to unwind well and journal and spend time with those we love, all the while taking inventory of where we're at in life and where we'd love to go in this coming year. Because then when we get together in March, we're going to set those goals and we're going to be able to start off right from the gate and get going. And so I just wanted to take a few minutes today and encourage you in your goals. Don't get discouraged. We'll continue to hang in there together and we'll start our goals in March. And don't lose sight of this time because there's a lot of good that can happen from resting and sleeping and letting your body restore those energies that you need to have. We're going to tune in next week and talk about what it looks like to take a life inventory. And this is not a big deal. This is not brain science, but it just is the habit of looking around yourself, a 360-degree kind of look around and seeing where you're currently at in life and where you would like to be a year from now. We'll walk through that together. I'm going to walk through it with you because I'm doing it at the same time. And then we'll continue to implement these little things here and there as we go. Thanks for joining me. Thanks, you guys, for tuning in. And I look forward to seeing you next week.